Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Healing Heartbreakers. I'm Jacki Jing, and I'm with Matt Pappadia. You may
Hello,
recognize
hello.
us. We were on The Circle from Netflix, season three, and we're really close. I think the world of Matt. Just looking at your face makes me smile. But I think Matt and we decided that we wanted to do this podcast together because honestly, we've just had some like really in-depth conversations when it comes to love and healing and working on ourselves. And so I basically just reached out to him and I was like, dude, do you want to just like shoot the shit about healing with me? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, I guess Matt, first, why don't you just start off telling me why you wanted to do the podcast and then I'll kind of chime in after. So
Yeah, you know what, Jackie? First off, I'm obsessed with the fact that are those the same cat ears as in your profile picture on the
yeah,
circle?
I think so, yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. Was that a coincidence?
I love these headphones and I've just like kept on purchasing them and then sometimes something will break and I just buy the same one. So
I don't even listen to music and I want those.
I know they're
Um,
so cute.
no, so I remember like I think 3 months back when I had just come to Austin and I'm like, yeah, like I'm 30, like all that stuff in the past, it's not gonna affect me. I'm stronger. And you remember that night we went live when this little person out of nowhere just like really threw me off my course. And I'm like, why did that hit so hard? And we went live, you and I on Instagram, I believe, and we just unpacked for 3 hours. And I have never gotten so much interaction, so many people reaching out and asking and sharing stories that I think are super helpful for people to hear. So if we could do it on a bigger platform in a more regular way, then better way of reaching out to people, little Jackies and little Matts across the world.
Aw. Yeah, for me, it's I know Matt and we both have gone through trauma. We have both suffered the loss of loved ones very close to us. We both unfortunately really struggle in the romance department. And I think like I just vibe with Matt so much because I think that we're both we're givers, like we give a lot of ourselves and our hearts and then we get hurt a lot and we're kind of just like, dude, like what is this like weird cycle that we're in? And to reference the conversation that Matt was talking about, that was kind of why I wanted to do the podcast too, because it was funny. Like, honestly, Matt went on live and was like having a little bit of a meltdown. Sorry
At
for lack
three in
of a
the
better word.
morning.
Yeah.
At 3 in the morning in my
And
hotel room.
yeah, and I was like, I am going to request live and
Yeah.
like talk to him because he was really upset. And I don't know, I think that like we don't really know the answer either, but I think like this podcast is about us trying to figure that out with like all these other people too. And frankly, like we have figured a lot out and it's been super hard and painful, and I think that there's ways for us to help people to navigate that stuff without going through, I guess, as much like hardship as we have. But Matt, I think like I want to ask you like, what do you want people to take like out of this podcast? You said that you wanted to reach like the little Jackies and little Matt. So
Yeah.
like for me, I want other soft hearts to know that there's like other soft hearts out here and like teach them how to protect themselves. But I guess like what's your reasoning?
Definitely protect themselves. That's a very big thing. But I want to help take away that anxiety of feeling like we did something wrong, feeling like I did something wrong. That anxiety would eat at me and still sometimes gets to me because you have a fear of abandonment. And when you have a fear of abandonment, it leads to the anxiety again. And little triggers that shouldn't trigger other people trigger you. And that's not fair to us. And it's not fair to anyone else who goes through that. And it's a really hard pain to get past unless you see other perspectives. So I feel like this podcast, like you said before, we don't know it all, Jackie, at all. Like clearly we're both still single. Not just kidding.
Single
Ha!
as it
Not always.
gets.
Oh
Single as it
no.
gets.
Single like a Pringle, honey. No, but like I think it's the anxiety of feeling like you did something wrong sucks. And I want to help people get rid of that and show them that there is a way out. You can still feel vulnerable and sensitive and still show those colors. You don't have to shut them off to not feel the anxiety. It just takes tweaking, and it takes growing your network of good people.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that Matt and I struggle with is self-hatred and self-confidence. And I think it's really funny because I think that people look at Matt and I and they're like, wow, these people have so much confidence, right? Because like if you look at our Instagram, you know, like we are posting a lot of thirst traps and you know, we're posting frequently and stuff like that, you know. But like I think that it's something that you and I are both like really trying to wrestle with. I think
I think,
my sorry,
yeah.
yeah, go.
Can I
Yeah.
interject there?
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
I don't think we lack confidence.
Yeah.
I think we are fully confident. We are confident in we're doing a podcast about it. That's how confident we are. That's how confident we are. No, really, in the size of our hearts. I am confident, and you are confident. It's a different word that we're using there. The insecurity part, 100%.
Yeah.
It just happens that gets the best of us, and we feel deeper. You know, we may read things deeper because we process things through an emotional context, much like we've been through in our life, because we've been
Yeah.
through a ton of emotional shit. And that's PTSD over the years gives you the same way of navigating trauma. So just because we navigate what we think might be trauma in a relationship or a trigger, that doesn't mean we're not confident. It just means, you know, there's some insecurities, like you said, and things that we work through. But no, we are confident people. I refuse to say that we're not. We
So
certainly
you
are.
know what's funny? You just said that and I was like, he's right. Like I think that Matt and I are confident people and like we
Hell yeah.
have I mean like we both we work hard, we have a lot of experience, like we've done a lot of things to get to the place where we're at. So like we are confident. The thing with me is that I am quick to lose that confidence. Like I am quick to get knocked off my box. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like
Yes.
we have worked really hard and we have earned it all. Like where we are in our careers, where we are mentally, physically, like everything. Like you and I have worked really hard.
That body, Jax. I see your
Thank you,
Patreon.
thank you,
Come
thank you.
on.
My
Ins-
bikini photos. I know, yeah.
Insert
But
the URL.
I know, stop. I can't. But it's like
If
we work super hard for it. But it's like what has really shook me is just like how quickly you and I are knocked off. You know what I mean? Like that we forget who we are like so quickly, you know? And actually Matt has been a really good he's been kind of like my for lack of a better word, like my north star. You know, like I feel like when I'm like, oh my god, I did this or I did that or I don't like this decision, like I literally will message you and I'll be like, oh my gosh, like I'm so mad at myself for this or that, and then you're like, you're fine. Everything's good. And like you haven't changed, like you as a person haven't changed at all. So like it's like doing for lack of a better word, it's like doing a yoga pose and you're kind of like falling out and then you're like, fuck, I fell. Like I'm out. But it's like really like, no, recalibrate and you're still like the goddess. You know what I mean?
recalibrate. You know, I
Yeah.
think. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for saying that, Jax.
Well,
If
thank
I'm,
you for slapping me back because I'm like, he's right. Like we are, but it's like,
I'll slap you back. Let's go. I love it.
I love it. Little too
Oh,
much. No, I'm kidding.
yeah. Well, after Will Smith at the Oscars, too soon.
Dude,
Oh no,
do
no.
not open that door. Oh
Just
my
kidding.
god, I'm gonna
Just
leave.
kidding. Do you believe in love? No. So I think like it's you know when I went through that thing with that kid, literally that was the smallest thing, and I went through it, and I had the reaction that I would have had 5 years ago. This is what taught me the most. When I had that reaction, I took a few days after, you know, Jax, after we talked and everything, and I realized I was going through those motions of what I would do at 25 if that happened to me. That pain was like a snowball trail that I'm sorry, like a skiing trail. You go down it so much, it's engraved in the snow. And sometimes you have to go through something again for new snow to fall so that you can make new pathway in the snow. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
I speak in freaking soliloquy. I'm sorry, but like you have to go through it again to say, oh, I don't have to process things like that. Like it really actually doesn't affect me like that anymore.
No,
But
100%.
innately, our body's like, oh my God, I'm hideous.
Okay, so you know what's interesting, and honestly, I feel like this could be another podcast episode on its own. But it's like I read a bunch of self-help books. I read a bunch of improvement books, and one of the ones that I'm reading right now, it was talking about rejection and how when we were cavemen and someone rejected you, like it literally affected if you would live or die, right? So like if my parents rejected me and I was like a cave baby, then I would die, right? Because I needed them to nurture me. If I'm in a tribe and the tribe decides to cut me off, then I die. If a man decided not to reproduce with me, then I would die, right? And we still have that type of chemistry and those hormones. So when we're rejected, we're like, we're gonna die. We're dying, dude. Like this guy just told me he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I am dying. And when in reality, in the modern world, rejection really has little impact on your life. Like this guy decided he didn't want to be with me recently. And literally it's funny because like, you had your reaction. Me a few months ago, I literally went through the same thing as I did right now. I dated a guy 3 months, and it was like when that guy, by the way, his name was Chad, so I should have known right then and there. But when Chad, I can't. That is for another podcast episode. We'll talk about Chad on another episode separately.
Oh, honey, Chad from LA gets a whole series.
Oh, please. Believe me, we will do. Yeah, it'll be a 3-parter. But
that's Laguna Beach for assholes.
So he broke up with me, and I was like devastated, right? And then recently, I broke up with a guy, and we dated like 3 months, and I was just like, I still have my career. I still am alive and functioning and healthy. And I was like, this rejection has not changed my life. Of course, do I feel sad? Like, am I, like gonna go through some sort of withdrawal? Like, of course. But I took it so much easier just knowing that like, hey, Jacki, your brain and the chemistry and the hormones are like going nuts right now, but it really doesn't mean anything. Like, it's like, you have to know that your body is still like it, like we've evolved, obviously we have like phones and stuff now, right? But we still are dealing with that chemistry. We're still dealing with those hormones, but it's like you have to put them into check. You have to be like, hey, nervous system, we don't need to freak out right now, because this guy not wanting to reproduce with you doesn't mean that you're dying. Right. This person not wanting you being a part of their tribe, which is probably toxic and bullshit anyway, isn't going to kill you. Like, you are going to be fine. And I think that my situation, which you've talked to me about, so you've diffused so many situations for me, and me diffusing that situation, which was on live and crazy and hilarious. But it's like, we need to do that for ourselves, but we also need to have people around us who are going to do that for us,
That's exactly where it is. You break your leg. Are you going to walk without crutches, for a little bit? Like everyone needs a crutch, like especially, and you may need more or less help depending on where you are emotionally, but we have to start looking at our emotions the same context as we look at our physical health and our mental health and our spiritual health. And that's a whole nother issue in itself, balance, but people forget context, and context emotionally is a huge part of your life and needs to be tended to and babied to when it's unhealthy.
Yeah, I think that like the big reason I want to do this podcast is because Matt and I are sensitive people, and we are reactive people, and we're very you could almost say like in tune with our nervous system, but also like disconnected from our nervous system. But I think that, I don't look at that as a weakness, like I look at it as, this is something, it's a blessing. Like we can read people very easily. We have big personalities that people are attracted to. We're passionate. Like, you can think of so many good adjectives. Of course, there are things that people could say that are negative about us, right? Like they could be like, oh, they're a lot, they're over the top, it's too much energy, whatever. But the big thing that I am really trying to, that I really want to get out of this podcast, just, personally, is like, I want to be more in touch with my nervous system. You know what I mean? I want to have a better control over my nervous system because it's like, I love that I can hit these highs and be like super fun and wild and like break it down in the dance floor. Though Matt's worm is always going to beat any move I have, but it's
Oh
fine.
my God.
But it's like, for me, the big goal is like, I want to help people who have big personalities and have like the highs and lows to make those lows not as low, and and pretty much like we dig our own lows. Like you and I, we hit a low and
Yes.
then we literally just
We keep
keep on
digging.
digging a
Why?
hundred
For
percent.
what? For what?
But
For what?
we got to stop that, not just for ourselves but like for other people, and that's why I'm like, I just want us to be like super candid and just, talk about everything that we're feeling. But anyway, we're running out of time, but like Matt, I kind of said why I really want to do this, and like we've been saying that over and over again, but I think it's just like, what like last message do you have for people listening, and why you would tell them to like subscribe to Healing Heartbreakers?
So my last message would be, if you guys have ever felt the anxiety of rejection or ever come down on yourself because you don't think you're enough, hang with us.
Yeah, that about sums it up. I think like we're basically experimenting with this whole structure here, but like a lot of it's gonna be Matt and I shooting the shit, but we also want to bring on some of our circle castmates. We want to bring on other people who are in reality TV. And if you guys have like people who you want us to bring on, like hit us up. By the way, make sure you follow us. I'm at Jacki Jing, JACKIJING. Matt, drop your shit.
Matt Pappadia, MATTPAPPADIA.
You might want to do that twice because there's a lot of letters.
MATTPAPPADIA.
Yeah, but I think like, we're going through this healing process and becoming the best version of ourselves. And I want to see like how other people are doing that. And we were blessed to have like an amazing cast of like really, really awesome people, and we get along really, really well. And like literally,
Yes.
I'm so happy that all of you have come into my life. But yeah, like I really hope like everyone listening that you'll stick around for the journey. I also think like, please, if you guys have questions, Matt, whenever you do a Q&A, I feel like you get some great questions, but please like don't.
Good questions.
Yes.
I'll do some like Healing Heartbreak Thursdays and do like a Q&A for Healing Heartbreakers.
For sure, because like we want to answer the questions that y'all have, and I think that like the people who are following us, like they gravitated to us for a reason, so I think that we probably, you feel some sort of familiarity with us, and so like we want to answer what you guys want to know. But anyway, thanks y'all for tuning into the first episode of Healing Heartbreakers. We are so excited to be launching this, and yeah, just stick around for the ride. And Matt, you want to say bye?
Yeah, no, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm just really excited for the ride. Let's do this thing.
Yay. Bye, everybody. See you next
Bye, guys.
time.